Hey, English learners. Welcome back to Stay with English podcast, your place for daily life English, real conversations, and easy English listening practice. I'm Bella.
And I'm Danny. You know, Bella, this podcast is the place where we learn real English from real talk. No boring grammar books here.
Exactly. Just two friends sitting down having a genuine conversation, and you're invited to join us. So, Danny, how are you today? How's everything going?
I'm actually really good, Bella, but I have to admit I had a strange moment this morning. Can I share it?
Of course. That's what we're here for. What happened?
I was sitting at my desk, preparing for work, and I suddenly felt this heavy feeling in my chest. You know that feeling? I realized I was already thinking about everything I needed to do today, and I felt exhausted before I even started.
Oh, I know that feeling very well. It's like your brain is already running a race before you've put on your shoes.
That's exactly it. And then I asked myself a question that made me a little uncomfortable. I thought, am I being productive or am I just being busy? And I wasn't sure I liked the answer.
That is such an important question. And you know what, Danny? That question is actually perfect for today's topic.
It is. Today we're going to talk about something that matters to all of us, but we're not going to talk about time management in the usual way.
No, we're not. Today's conversation is different. We're going to talk about the difference between being productive and being intentional, between doing more things and doing the right things.
This is a big topic, but we're going to keep it simple, practical, and hopefully, if we do this right, it might even make you feel a little lighter.
Yes, we're not here to add more pressure to your life. We're here to help you think about time in a new way, a gentler way.
And of course, we've designed this episode to help you learn some beautiful, useful English along the way.
Before we dive in, we have a small request for our listeners. If you find value in this episode, please take a moment to like it, subscribe to the Stay with English podcast, and share it with someone who might need to hear this message today.
Yes, maybe that friend who always says, I'm so busy, but I don't feel like I'm getting anywhere. We all know that person.
Sometimes that person is us. I know I've been that person, more times than I'd like to admit.
Me too. Okay, let's get into our conversation. Bella, let me start with a big question. What do you think it really means to waste your time?
Huh. Beautiful question to start with. I've been thinking about this a lot. I don't think wasting time is simply about doing nothing. In fact, doing nothing can sometimes be exactly what we need. To me, wasting time is when you spend your hours on things that don't connect to what you truly care about. It's about disconnection, not inactivity.
Disconnection, not inactivity. I want to sit with that for a moment. So you're saying that resting, for example, is not wasting time?
Absolutely not. Resting is like charging your phone battery. It's essential maintenance. But scrolling on your phone for an hour when you actually want to be playing with your children or learning something new, that's disconnection. That's when the feeling of waste creeps in.
That really resonates with me. It's not about the activity itself, but whether that activity aligns with what matters to you.
Exactly. Let me try a metaphor. Imagine you're holding a flashlight in a dark room.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Every day, your flashlight has a certain amount of battery. That's your time. You can shine that light on anything. Now, if you shine it on random walls, on the floor, on the ceiling with no purpose, the battery runs out and the room is still a mess. You've been busy shining light, but you haven't seen anything meaningful.
That's so vivid. But if you intentionally shine your light on the parts of the room that matter, maybe there's a book you want to read, or a letter you need to write, or a person sitting in the corner you want to talk to, then when the battery runs out, you've truly lived.
Yes, the battery is going to run out either way. The question is, what are you illuminating while you have the light? That's the difference between being busy and being present, between just existing and truly living.
Surviving, not thriving. I think that's a good phrase to summarize.
I love that phrase. So many people are just going through the motions. Wake up, go to work, come home, scroll, sleep, repeat. And there's nothing wrong with the parts of that routine. Work is necessary, sleeping is essential. But if your entire life is just routine with no meaning, no intention, no genuine presence, then something important is missing.
So how do we move from going through the motions to actually living intentionally? I think our listeners would love some practical, simple steps.
Me too. Let's break this down into some specific ideas. Are you ready?
I'm so ready. But before we share tips, I want to pause for a moment. We've been talking about intentions and meaning. Let me ask you, Bella, when was the last time you felt truly aligned? Like your time and your values were completely in sync?
That's a beautiful question. Let me think. Honestly, last Saturday morning, I made a cup of tea, sat in my chair by the window, and read a book for 45 minutes. No phone, no rush, no guilt, just me, the sunlight, and the pages. My value is quiet growth, and that moment was pure alignment.
That sounds wonderful. For me, it was last week when I called my grandmother. We talked for 40 minutes about absolutely nothing important. Just little stories, what she cooked, how her garden is doing. My value is connection, and that phone call made me feel like I used my time well.
I love that. So both of us felt fulfilled not because we were productive, but because we were intentional. That's the shift we're talking about today.
Perfect. So, are you ready for some practical ideas to help everyone find more moments like that? Let's start with the first principle.
Okay, principle number 1. Find your compass, not your clock.
Compass, not clock. Explain that to me.
A clock tells you what time it is. It says, it's 3 p.m., you should be working. It measures passing minutes, but it doesn't tell you if those minutes matter. A compass, on the other hand, shows you direction. It says, this way is north. This is what you care about. You need the clock to function in the world, absolutely. You need to know when your meeting starts. But you need the compass to know if you're walking in the right direction.
So, if I only follow the clock, I might be perfectly on time for everything, but still end up in the wrong place at the end of my life.
Exactly. Let me share a personal story. When I was in my early 20s, I worked in marketing. The job was fine. The salary was fine. The hours were fine. Everything was fine. But I felt empty. Every promotion I got, I felt a little more hollow inside. I kept asking myself, what's wrong with me? This is a good job.
What did you discover?
I discovered something crucial. My compass, the thing that truly mattered to me, pointed towards creativity and service. I wanted to create things and help people directly. But my job was about budgets and strategies. My clock was ticking perfectly, but my compass was pointing to true north, and I was walking east.
So, what did you do?
I made a change. It wasn't dramatic. I didn't quit overnight. But I started taking small steps toward my compass. I started this creative side project, which eventually grew. Now I'm not always perfectly on schedule, but I feel alive. And that's the difference.
That is so powerful. So principle 1 is about knowing your values. Knowing what matters to you deep down, not what other people tell you should matter.
Yes, and here's the thing. There's no right or wrong value. Maybe you value security, and that's beautiful. Maybe you value adventure, and that's beautiful too. Maybe you value family, learning, quietude, contribution, order, freedom. All of these are valid. The key is that you know what yours are, because once you do, you can start saying no to things that pull you away from them, and yes to things that bring you closer.
So for our listeners, principle number 1 is this. Discover your compass. Take some quiet time this week and ask yourself, what actually matters to me? What makes me feel truly alive?
Beautiful. Are we ready for principle number 2?
We are. Principle number 2, the 15% easier rule.
Oh, I'm curious about this one. What is the 15% easier rule?
The 15% easier rule is something I developed after years of being too hard on myself. Here's the concept. When we want to change something in our lives, learn English, exercise more, read more, write that book, we often set goals that feel like mountains. We say, I will study English for 1 hour every day. That sounds responsible, right?
It does, but I can already feel the weight of that promise.
Exactly. And your brain feels it too. When a task feels too big, too hard, your brain labels it as threatening. It triggers resistance, so you procrastinate. You find something easier to do. You scroll, you watch videos, you clean your desk. And then you feel guilty about wasting time. The cycle continues.
It becomes a loop of guilt and avoidance.
Exactly. Here's the breakthrough. You can break that loop by making your task 15% easier. Make it so ridiculously simple that your brain says, "That's it, I can do that."
Give me an example.
Instead of, "I will study English for 1 hour, you say, "I will listen to one English song and try to understand the chorus." That might take 5 minutes. Instead of, "I will read for 30 minutes, you say, "I will read 1 page. Instead of, "I will exercise today, you say, "I will put on my gym shoes and stand by the door." And then what happens?
Two magical things. First, you actually start. The hardest part of any task is starting it, but when it's tiny, starting becomes painless. Second, and this is the secret, once you start, you often keep going naturally. You listen to the song and you think, let me look up those 3 words I didn't know. You put on your gym shoes and you think, well, I'm already dressed, let me just walk for 5 minutes. Momentum carries you. So the 15% rule is like tricking your resistance. It's like telling your brain, don't worry, this is just a tiny thing. And then once you're in motion, the big thing happens by itself.
Precisely. And even if you only do the tiny thing, you have still won. You kept your promise to yourself. You did something. That little victory builds trust with yourself. Over time, that trust grows, and so do your abilities.
I love that. It's so much gentler than the typical harsh self-discipline approach. It's like being a kind coach to yourself instead of an angry sergeant.
That's exactly the energy. So, principle 2. Whatever you've been postponing, ask yourself, what's the 15% easier version of this? And start there today.
Beautiful. Let's move to principle number 3. Notice where your attention flows.
Attention. This is a huge topic. Why is attention so important in not wasting time?
Because your attention is your most precious resource. More than money, more than time even. Because your time can be taken from you in many ways, but where you place your attention, moment by moment, that's your life, happening right now.
So if my attention is scattered,
Then your life feels scattered. Think about a typical evening. You sit on the sofa, you turn on the television, but you're also looking at your phone. You're half watching, half scrolling. Then a notification pops up, you check it, you forget what you were watching. An hour passes. How do you feel at the end?
honestly, empty, maybe a little anxious. Like I consumed something, but I didn't receive anything nourishing.
Exactly. Your attention was divided, pulled in many directions. No single thing received your full presence. That's a form of waste. Not because TV or phones are bad, but because you weren't really there for any of it.
So what can we do instead?
A simple practice I've been trying is called single tasking. It sounds almost old-fashioned in our multitasking world, but it's revolutionary. When you decide to do something, give it your full attention for a set period, even just 15 minutes.
Can you give a practical example?
Of course. Last week, I wanted to read a book, but I kept getting distracted by my phone. So I made a little ritual. I placed my phone in another room, not just across the table, in another room entirely. I made a cup of tea. I sat in my favorite chair. I set a timer for 20 minutes. For those 20 minutes, my only job was to read. If my mind wandered, I gently brought it back. No guilt, no pressure, just gentle returning.
And how did that feel?
It felt luxurious. Afterward, I felt genuinely rested, which is strange because reading is an active thing. But my mind felt calmer, cleaner. I had given it a vacation from constant switching. And I remembered what I read, which is a bonus.
This reminds me of something. People often say, I don't have time to meditate, or I don't have time to relax. But single-tasking any activity can become a form of meditation. Even washing dishes, if you're fully there with the warm water and the soap bubbles, can be a restful experience.
Absolutely. It's about the quality of attention, not the type of activity. So, principle 3, Protect your attention. Choose one thing, give it your presence, and notice the difference it makes in how you feel about your time.
That's so practical and so needed in our distraction-filled world. Now, let's move to principle number 4. Invest in the invisible.
Invest in the invisible. That sounds mysterious. What do you mean by that?
The invisible things are the parts of life that don't show up on your to-do list, don't get a check mark, can't be measured easily. Things like relationships, rest, creativity, play, quiet reflection. Our culture loves visible productivity. Emails sent, tasks completed, items ticked off. But the invisible things are often the source of our greatest meaning.
That's profound. And it connects back to your grandmother call. A phone call doesn't produce anything. There's no output, no product, but it nourishes the invisible connection.
Exactly. If we only value visible achievements, we end up with an impressive resume and an impoverished life. We have the promotion, but not the memories. The clean house, but not the laughter.
Tell me, how do you personally invest in the invisible?
I have a small practice. Every evening before sleep, I ask myself 2 questions. First, what did I achieve today? That satisfies the visible part of me. But the second question is more important. What did I feel today? What moment touched me? And I try to recall one small invisible moment. The taste of my coffee, the smile of a stranger, a sentence from a book that made me pause.
That is such a beautiful practice.
It trains my brain to value the invisible. Over time, I've noticed I spend more of my day actually noticing these moments as they happen, instead of only chasing the next task. It's made my life feel richer without necessarily doing more things.
So, for our listeners, Principle 4 is an invocation to invest in the invisible. Maybe that means calling a friend without an agenda. Maybe it means sitting outside for 10 minutes without your phone. Maybe it means playing with your pet or your child without rushing to the next activity. These are not wastes of time. They are investments in your humanity.
Beautifully said. Now we have one final principle. Principle number 5. Rest is not a reward. Rest is a requirement.
I need to hear this. Many of us, including me, treat rest like a reward for being productive enough. I can relax after I finish everything. But the list never ends, and so we never truly rest.
This is so common, and it's dangerous. When we treat rest as negotiable, we burn out. Our bodies keep score. We get sick, we get anxious, we lose our creativity, our patience, our joy. Think of your energy like a field. You harvest crops year after year, but you never let the soil rest.
What happens to the field?
It becomes barren. Nothing can grow there anymore. The earth needs fallow seasons, times where nothing is planted so it can regenerate. We are the same. Beautiful things grow in us when we rest. Ideas form, connections deepen, emotions settle. Our brains process learning during rest. It's not a gap in productivity. It's the soil of creativity.
So, what would proper, intentional rest look like, practically?
Rest looks different for everyone, but true rest has a few qualities. First, you are not just consuming. Scrolling is not resting. True rest often involves some form of stillness or gentle presence. Second, you are not feeling guilty. If rest feels guilty, it's not nourishing you. Third, you disconnect from output. You're not resting to be more productive later. You're resting because you're a living being, and living beings need restoration.
For me, true rest is walking slowly in the park near my house. No podcast, no music, no phone calls. Just me and the trees and the sky. It took me months to stop feeling guilty about these walks.
I understand that struggle. For me, true rest is cooking something simple with no rush, just chopping vegetables and listening to the sound of the pan. It's meditative. When I finish, I don't necessarily have a tangible achievement, but I feel more like myself.
So Principle 5 is perhaps the most countercultural one today. Rest is not a reward for being productive. Rest is a requirement for being human. You don't earn rest. You need it.
What a note to end on. So let's quickly recap what we've discussed. We have 5 principles for moving from busyness to intention.
Principle 1, find your compass, not your clock. Know what matters to you.
Principle 2, use the 15% easier rule. Make your tasks so simple that starting becomes effortless.
Principle 3, Notice where your attention flows. Protect it. Practice single tasking, even for short periods.
Principle 4, invest in the invisible. Nourish relationships, moments, feelings, the uncheckable things.
And principle 5, rest is a requirement, not a reward. Honor your need for restoration.
Those 5 principles, if you begin to practice them even a little, will slowly shift your relationship with time.
And before we wrap up, let's have our vocabulary corner. Dani, let's pick out some keywords from today.
Great idea. First word, intentional. We used this many times today. It means doing something on purpose, with awareness, not by accident. For example, I want to be more intentional about how I spend my evenings.
Next, alignment. This means the state of being in harmony, where different parts fit together. For example, when my job matches my values, I feel alignment.
Procrastinate. This is the action of delaying or postponing a task. For example, I often procrastinate on difficult conversations.
Momentum. The force that keeps something moving once it has started. For example, once I started studying for just 5 minutes, momentum carried me further.
Scattered. This means spread out, not together, fragmented. For example, when my attention is scattered, I can't focus deeply.
Nourish. This means to provide what is needed for growth or health. For example, good conversations nourish my soul.
Barren. This is a strong word that means empty, unable to produce life. For example, a field becomes barren if never rested.
And finally, fallow. This is an agricultural word that means land left unplanted to recover. For example, my mind needs fallow periods to be creative again.
Beautiful words today. We encourage you to choose 1 or 2 and try using them in a comment below.
Yes. Speaking of which, we have a question for you, dear listener. After hearing these 5 principles, which one resonates with you the most? And what is one small change you feel inspired to make this week? Share your thoughts in the comments. We read every single one, and your words may inspire someone across the world.
And if this episode spoke to you, please take a moment to like it, subscribe to Stay with English podcast, and share it with a friend who seems always busy but never fulfilled. Someone out there needs this message today, and you might be the person to deliver it.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us. We want you to know that the time you invested in listening today was not wasted. You were nourishing your English, yes, but also nourishing your perspective on life. That is time well spent.
We're truly grateful that you chose to stay with us today. This was Stay with English podcast with Bella and Dani.
Until next time, remember, your time is your life, but your life is not a machine. Treat it like a garden. Water it, rest in its shade, and let things grow in their own season. Be gentle with your progress and fierce with your curiosity.
Take care of yourself and take care of each other. We'll be here waiting for you next time.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep staying with English.